Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Boy, howdy, howdy, boy. Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, boy.
Howdy, howdy. Alex Navarro, howdy.
Boy, howdy.
Boy, howdy. Brad Shoemaker, howdy.
Howdy boys. That's us. The Howdy Boys and another video game mystery.
Rootin' Tootin' Howdy Boys,
Yep.
back on another Nextlander
Just
podcast.
Shit
Hardy
kicking,
Boys.
solving mysteries.
The Hardy Boys and their 6-shooters. That's them and their spurs. Yeah.
Those are the Rowdy Boys. We are here to talk about video games. I feel like I have a genuine, I don't know why I'm doing this whole vocal thing, but the stress in these, I'm going to like saying genuine.
Wait.
Bona fide.
Wait, I did not take you for a Ginuwine fan.
A genuine
Do you know
backlog of 2023 fans. Do I know who Ginuwine is?
Yeah.
Do
Can you
you?
sing me a little pony?
What's that?
Can you sing me a little bit of pony?
A pony? Wait. Like a pony.
Nope.
Mony,
No.
mony.
No.
I'm gonna ride my horses.
No.
Okay,
Nope.
can I give you a sample lyric?
Okay, yes.
I'm horny. Let's do it.
With
Ride my pony.
Ew.
Those-
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right.
That's the chorus. Now take it away.
Watchcast Magic Mike. We're doing it.
I have heard of Ginuwine.
Okay.
How is it spelled?
It's like
G-I,
G-I-N.
like gin, like gin. You know,
Okay.
G-I-N. Actually, I never even thought about it before. Gin and wine.
Oh,
Gin-
Ginuwine. So
okay. Yes. Okay. Ginuwine.
I don't know that anybody is chasing gin with wine necessarily, but you know,
Do what you got to do, man.
Powerful combo.
did not expect this podcast to start talking about 90s R&B. But
That's
hey,
the magic.
there are way worse things to talk about.
That's the Magic Mike.
That's the magic. These are what is in front of me could be classified as a magic mic. Right in front of me, my mouth is very close to the magic mic right now. Even closer now, magic mic is happening. We are here to bring you the magic. Magic Mike's the dancing one. That's right.
That's such a reduction
Sure.
of what they are doing in those films.
It's the let's say it's the fake Chippendales one.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, it's not real Chippendales, is it? They didn't like get the name.
No,
or
it's but
anything.
it's like male strip dancing.
Yeah, it is. Yes, male review is that
Yes.
is that the term?
I don't know if that's still the term, but it certainly was at one time.
I just went to chippendales.com and it says the hottest male review show in Las Vegas.
There
so
you
I
go.
guess that's totally it.
Wait, is like Showgirls? Is that a like female review?
Kind of.
I don't
though
think
also,
so. I don't see that. I don't know that I've ever seen that term.
Showgirls is also a lot more salacious than either Magic Mike movie. Like, I mean, the first Magic Mike movie is like weirdly serious, but it is not particularly salacious, and the second one is just a giant romp.
Yes, I remember the second one coming out, and there were romp vibes coming off of that.
It's
scene
a
from
delight. I mean that sincerely.
I would watch those movies. Those
I've
sound
seen
fun.
neither.
Yeah.
I know they were a cultural sensation, but I don't know either of them.
Are they both Soderbergh? The first one's Soderbergh, right?
First one is Soderbergh. The second one is not. It's the same
Okay.
characters, but it is not the same. And
that
I think
explains
Soderbergh might be doing the last one.
Oh, there's another one?
There's one coming where Magic Mike travels to Europe and Salma Hayek is there.
Is it just Magic Mike XXXL?
I forget what the subtitle is, but there is a third one coming. The trailer came out late last year, I remember.
Huh.
Is the main character named Mike?
I believe so.
I do believe so, yes.
Is
Channing
it Channing
Mike.
Tatum?
Yes.
Okay. And how long ago were those movies made?
Um,
The first one. How was the first one?
First one's fairly quite a good number of years old.
2009?
Okay.
Sounds right.
We could be getting close to 13, 14 years.
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the second one was like a few years later.
I just opened this Watchcast doc under big list of movies. I am typing Magic Mike.
Okay.
Okay, good. One or two? Both? Do you have to do
One.
both?
I think you have to do both, but the thing is, they're very different movies, but I think they're both good in their own way.
Okay. People really like Showgirls as well, right? But for different reasons.
For the camp.
Okay. for
Yeah.
the camp.
Yes. Okay. Sure. For that reason. Yes.
And that's I forget the actress's name, but
Elizabeth
Jessie
Berkley.
Spano, right?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
Elizabeth Berkley's career never recovered. Would you say?
Which I think is unfair.
Yeah. Is that accurate though? That is accurate.
Yeah, it is
right?
accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, like her career. Okay, we don't spend too much time in this ballpark, but her career. I thought this was a thing to bring her career back. Like
No.
after Saved by the Bell.
No.
That was her taking a big swing after
It was-
Saved by the Bell to like establish herself.
Right, and don't forget this is also like Joe Esterhaas kind of following up Basic Instinct. So it's like Basic Instinct was huge, and it's like, well, anything that guy writes is going to be box office gold, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Maybe not.
So this is like Saved by the Bell. What's the next big step? It was this, and then this just whiffed, and then there were okay.
And I'll say this for Elizabeth Berkley: she gives everything to that role, and I'm not just talking about the nudity. Like she throws herself into the high camp of the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to be clear. I'm not criticizing her at all. It's just that she hitched her wagon to the wrong project. Unfortunately, it happens.
I thought there were more years.
Ask what's it, Taylor Kitsch, right? That's the dude's name.
Who's that?
Right. Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights.
Oh yeah,
Yes. He was like poised to be the next like box office heartthrob. And then he did John Carter and Battleship in the same year.
God.
Oh boy, Battleship is one of the worst. You should write that down.
Oh,
on
you
that
should see
doc
John
as one of
Carter.
the-
That is also
I
real fucking bad.
I think I might have seen John Carter in the theater, but Battleship was
I
one.
reviewed it. I reviewed John Carter.
He was coming hot off of Friday Night Lights.
Yeah.
He was like poised to be huge, like a massive movie star. And then he did that double whammy.
Those movies are not redeemable.
Is it John Carter and like the Ghost of Mars or something? John Carter.
No, it's just John Carter of Mars is the original story.
Of Mars.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
I thought there were more years between Saved by the Bell and Showgirls. That there was just like a no work period there.
I think it was like maybe a couple of years from
Really,
when,
I guess that show went longer than what I thought. Or Showgirls came out.
It was a late
earlier than-
'80s show, is the thing. So I think it ran for several seasons.
When did Showgirls come out?
92.
95.
Saved by the Bell ended in 92, and then
Okay.
So she basically went almost straight from Saved by the Bell to Showgirls production.
I thought Showgirls came out in like 2008.
No.
there's a time consolidation happening somewhere in there. That is just compression that is happening. All right. Well,
I forgot. I consistently forget that Showgirls was a Verhoeven movie.
Oh yeah, man, it's in that
So, like,
streak
that-
of like the big Verhoeven movies.
Wait, did he do Basic Instinct as
Yes.
well? Oh God, how did I forget all that?
Like that
Wild.
5-movie run of like RoboCop, Total Recall, Basic
God.
Instinct, Showgirls, and Starship Troopers all in a row.
Right. He just
That's a wild streak.
he just had a little erotic thriller interlude bookended by this like amazing science fiction satire. What a career.
well,
Video
we're gonna transition.
Are there any Total Recall video games? There probably should be.
I'm not sure that there
I don't know if
are.
there are. I don't know if there are. There's definitely
there is.
RoboCop.
Oh,
there's
there's
definitely
several.
Starship
There
Troopers.
totally is for
Oh,
the
wow.
Commodore 64.
Oh
my.
wow, Ocean Software and Interplay.
Okay,
Ocean.
that sounds like a development crew that I can get behind. What is it? Is it like
Oh, there's an NES version.
is it an adventure game?
It's a platformer,
oh,
like an
okay.
action platformer.
Yeah, okay.
No,
I
I
think-
mean they all were at that point.
I think a Total Recall in the Shadowgate engine, like something like that, or Deja Vu would work.
I think
Like,
a Basic Instinct in that engine would work. I think a Showgirls in that engine would work.
Okay, listen, we're going to talk about video games here. We're going to talk
Very erotic.
We're going to talk Hi-Fi Rush, Dead Space, tape to tape. The Steam Next Fest stuff is going on. Some more Hitman stuff and some check-ins with Forspoken. So let's jump right into it, starting with Hi-Fi Rush, a game, if everyone remembers. What's your term, Brad? What is the not shadow drop or
I don't have a good term. I don't have a good.
No, you had the best term for it. It was like game released on same day it is announced
No,
or
that
something to
was
that
the-
effect.
That was the Giant Bomb Wiki name
Okay.
for it.
okay. We'll get there.
Announced and released on the same day, I believe, is the name of that wiki page. Which, hey, man, it says exactly what it means.
It was the Tango Gameworks game. It is the one that is the action platformer to the beat. It's been out for a little bit now. I played a bunch more of it, but more importantly, I watched my son finish that game.
Hell yeah.
I couldn't get my hands on the controller. He was playing. He made his way through it. He really enjoyed it. And I really actually enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, it's a delight, man. Like if Hitman Freelancer had not more or less derailed my last couple of weeks, I feel like I would be done with that game too. But I have still been playing it in chunks, and it's great.
I am consistently shocked at how likable it continues to be.
Yeah,
like it feels like it should have worn out its welcome in terms of the attitude is not the right word, but the pizzazz of it.
Like the goofy, sense of humor, the character direction. Yeah, you're right. That stuff feels like it could run out of gas at any time, but so far it has not for me at all.
Like just the constant chai quipping and all that stuff. But there's just so much detail and style to everything that they do in that thing, constantly. And they
modulate it well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see maybe it does just evolve into a lot of character action and less of the style that's up front. So did we talk about this on the podcast, or was it a stream that I said I was thinking about starting it over on very hard?
Maybe it was here.
Which I have now done.
Okay.
So I went back to the beginning, and I'm only up into track 2 now. It's eminently doable, I think. Unless it gets crazy harder, deeper in. It's not a cakewalk, but it's not as punishing. It's doable.
Right.
I only died on that first boss.
Was a little tough, or at least watching my son play the last boss.
Yeah,
seemed tough.
It could get worse. It
can always get worse.
I definitely came out of that first level basically looking at that 50,000 scrap, the health battery thing,
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing basically, if you have full health and you keep picking up health, it'll fill up a battery and it'll kick in and revive you if you die once. And I came out of that first level going, I'm not going to buy anything until I can afford that thing. Because you definitely, they hit hard on that mode. But it just seems to me the way to keep that thing interesting all the way through, where you're not just mashing it out once you get, you know how character action games
are.
At
I have found those combat arenas to be a little rote. But they do add a lot of mechanics in. It is constantly piling in support stuff, assists, and also it's the parry is a big one. Once you get the parry move, that's a big one. And what was the other one that was a huge one? You have to again, that last boss, you're juggling all of those moves. So I was watching him kind of work through all of the different rock paper scissors-ness of that game, because you wind up with enemies that have certain shields and certain barriers. So I that's when I put the game down, it's usually because I get a little bored of the combat.
Right.
But I am there. Honestly, I'm there to see the big villains. I think they do a great job with the personalities on those bosses.
They are surprisingly funny, and the characterizations are the voice actors are good. The animation's really, really good. They found a way to make every part of that game feel relatively distinctive. I mean, again, not every single battle feels totally different. A lot of them don't. But the world and the characters, and just every time they highlight a specific thing, it feels like it is just bursting with personality. I'm
still bummed I blew up Rekka.
Had to happen, man.
I guess. I don't know. Rekka seemed all right. Maybe a little misguided.
There was only one way to unstick that caps lock key.
Yep.
Take out Rekka. Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, surprisingly refreshing still. Again, I think refreshing is my word for it.
Your son came away happy?
He did. He really liked it. So I'll say this: after you beat it, there's more to do. They add in a couple of other things that don't just feel like filler. They add in some modes and some other stuff to go back in and continue playing if you would like. Which is, I did not expect that from this game. This seemed like a beat the game and you're done, put it down.
Mm-hmm.
It just blows my mind. I was babbling about this to my girlfriend while I was playing it. It's this is the type of game everybody was super over 20 years ago,
Oh yeah.
And like for everybody to be losing their minds at getting to play a game like this now, it's like, do you remember the embarrassment of riches of these on the PS2 and the original Xbox? But it's just an inversion of,
Yeah, they weren't always as well made as this, but yeah, there was definitely a huge glut of them.
That's part of it, is this is unnaturally like well made in every respect imaginable, but also, everybody's sick of live service games.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's sick of forever games. Like, hey, here is just a $15-hour, $30, like, have fun with it. It's charming. It plays well, and then it's done. The other thing is I keep thinking about, like, I think it's fair to say this game has gotten a degree of, I don't know, good-natured grief about its soundtrack and kind of being a little...
Yeah.
Like, I started thinking about this game in the context of nostalgia, though, because of the iPod in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I tend to think that nostalgia runs on about a 20-year delay.
That is absolutely my opinion as well.
Right, and so 20 years ago is right about when iPods were really blowing up and becoming mainstream, and so, like, it hit me at some point. I think the music player explicitly being an iPod in this is, like, not unintentional. And
yeah,
I know the soundtrack is a little more spread out. Like, I think Zwan was around 20 years ago. I know some of the stuff on this soundtrack is a little bit newer.
The Joy Formidable track, I think, is like later aughts, but it's all within that like 2001, with the exception of like the Prodigy song. Like, it's all like that 2001 to 2008 kind of range.
The Interpol era.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like it's like nodding toward the shit that was going on 20-ish years ago, give or take 3 to 5 years. Yeah,
Sure.
Look at that.
I'm holding up my iPod.
He's holding
Yeah.
up
Which
an iPod.
still works.
It's a touch dial, right? That's not the spinny dial?
It's not the spinny dial, but it is like it has the clickable button. Like, you can
Okay.
still push it in. So,
Okay.
this thing, I cherish it. At some point, I may send it off to someone like fucking Dan Amrich or something to modify it to have more storage or whatever, and bigger battery. But this thing has held up, and I think if this
Wait, you use it?
Oh yeah, man. There's a whole crazy subculture of people clinging to their iPods.
I don't
for
use it
dear life.
a lot, but I do sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the replacement OS? Rockbox, I want to say.
Yes, that is it.
Is the kind of homebrew iPod OS that people are using now.
Yeah. Yeah, they've totally reworked these things in some significant ways, but the thing is also a lot of these iPods just hold up. Like the battery life isn't amazing, but it still works, and like the hard drive still works as long as you're not constantly hammering it, which I'm not.
I think you can replace the hard drive with an SSD now, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, like
it takes a little bit of work, but you can do it.
Like those things are built like a tank, right? I never had an old school iPod, but aren't they like super sturdy?
They're very sturdy, and
It's got that big like aluminum case, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, you're dead right that like millennial aesthetics are coming back in a big way.
That's the real thing I wanted to highlight here is like, oh man, buckle up. Like hot heat is classic rock now, basically, is what I'm saying. It's just like, fuck.
Alkaline Trio is dad rock.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so the thing I will say, I mean, look, when I was playing shows with my band like a couple years ago, like kids would show up at the show basically dressed like they were going to a Slipknot concert in like 1999. Like huge pants, like the Hot Topic aesthetic, like all that stuff is kind of back. Yeah. Like some of the more poppy millennial aesthetics are coming back. My only issue with the soundtrack, again, is not that it uses that music. Like, I think that music is perfectly fine for the stuff that they're doing. It's just that I think a spread of that stuff with some newer stuff would probably be a little bit more appealing overall. Like, if you played Jet Set Radio and it was literally all just like 80s rock, that would feel a little weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Game's great.
We got another one. We have a second iPod. We have found a second iPod.
A second iPod has hit the pod. No.
A second iPod has hit the podcast, yes.
I wasn't sure if I should go for it.
No, we did
not.
it. It's okay. We're far enough away now. We can make those jokes.
I have my what's the little clip-on one that like clips onto your lapel too?
Oh, the Nano.
Is that the Nano or Mini? I weren't there. There were two of them, right?
There was a
multiple
Mini and
models
then the Nano.
There were multiple models of Nano. The first Nano was the like kind of pack of gum, like stick of gum shaped. Yeah, that's the second Nano. That's the clip-on, like that's the little like lapel clip one.
Does it say how much storage is on here? Oh no.
Dude, that thing is
You know
like,
what?
it looks like a chocolate they leave on your pillow at a fucking hotel.
God, you just reminded me. My first iPod was a Nano that somebody, like some press tour came through the GameSpot office, and those things could double as a like just a USB storage device. And whoever brought the game left their assets behind on an iPod Nano as a USB. So I was like, oh man, like wow.
This one has an engraving on it that makes me think this was a piece of swag.
That's possible.
It might be, yeah.
They got cheap enough that marketing budgets certainly could have accommodated them.
It's so funny. This iPod I have here is 80 gigs. I don't know where that places it on the iPod
Pretty good.
scale.
This one's 160.
Whoa! Look at all, you could put the entire Encyclopedia Britannica on that thing.
I don't think the hard drive one's got much bigger than that.
No, they did. I think the highest they ever got was 256 or something, and maybe even not that high.
Are they colored? They're not color, right? I haven't booted this thing. It's
You mean
like
the
a
screen?
black. The screen is black and white.
I think they're
Or is it
probably
blue?
the color ones.
I
before
think
they
there
phased
may
them
have
out.
been more colorized. Okay, the battery is currently dead on this one. I need to recharge it. But the screen on this one, I think, actually does do color album covers.
Here's the biggest problem I have with having this iPod here. I hated these charging the flat charging cables. I
Yes.
always hated them.
The one I have is
to get them.
completely frayed.
I would like to get them out of my life, but I keep one or two around just because of old devices like this. Maybe one of my least favorite charging cables. That weird flat rectangular thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the lightning cable either. For some reason, those ports always get very dirty.
Well, you're in luck.
Yeah, are we all USB-C?
Yeah, the EU mandated that they have to move to USB-C in 2 years, I think. I forget exactly what the deadline is, but
I think USB-C, I'm going to say this here. USB-C might be my favorite USB port. Well, my favorite, I'll even throw in FireWire with that.
Bold
My
claims being made here.
My favorite, might be my favorite connector port that we have had in a long time.
it's a pretty low bar, to be fair.
Also,
Pretty low bar.
That's the name of this episode. My favorite connector port.
The only other port probably, I mean, I will always be a B&C connector. I think that's the best connection port you can have. But for a big old consumer mass market port, USB-C is pretty good. Though I do always get a little weirded out with USB-C to USB-C. That still freaks me out a bit when it's like, oh, I've got a USB-C port on the computer and it's going to a USB-C device. Now it's just USB-C to USB-C, and that cable always just makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. Like I'm connecting both ends of an outlet or something.
It
like
is illegal.
Like the PlayStation 5 has that USB-C port, and then you plug that into a USB-C on the controller. Feels weird. Feels wrong. Should always be an A on the other side of that. Anyway, I voted for USB-C, so I ratified that. You
Good
guys
job.
are welcome. Yeah, I'm on the board.
Anyway, that's
You know
Hi-Fi Rush.
That's Hi-Fi Rush and iPods, and someday we'll have to plug in your iPod, Alex, and go through the oldest songs on it to see.
Because I have not put new music on this thing in a long time, so it is mostly the stuff I put on there, I'm going to say at least 10 years ago.
Remember when you could just plug an iPod into an Xbox 360
Yes.
and play music off of it? And I think that worked with the custom soundtracks on the 360. Also, man, they should bring back custom soundtracks.
Dude, yes.
Dude, like that was possibly the coolest feature on a console full of amazingly cool new features.
Imagine if you were playing Hitman Freelancer right now and you could just dial up your own music to play in Hitman's little murder house.
I almost wonder if there were licensing issues there, not like actionable ones, but more just like pressure from recording companies of like, hey, we could be selling people more music on here and you could be making some of that money if you weren't just letting them play whatever they want off of their pocket piracy device.
The RIAA would never do anything so untoward. They are incredibly consumer friendly.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about Dead Space and some more games right after this. This week's show is brought to you by Bespoke Post, Alex and Brad.
Yes.
It's Bespoke Post time.
It is.
The box
Is it ever not?
Well, there's times between the boxes of awesome.
Fair.
And where I assume you're enjoying your boxes of awesome, but you're not opening. You're not opening your box of awesome. It says here to unbox your box of awesome. Can you hear that?
Yes, he is definitely. He's absolutely contractually opening a box as we speak.
A box of awesome. This week I got cologne. I got cologne from a company called Guy Fawkes. And, remember the scent of November? I don't know.
It's January now. We can't do that.
You're going to smell like gunpowder?
I don't know. Well, no. I'm going to smell like bergamot, pepper, and rosemary with this scent called Mara. Box of Awesome probably has something you're going to want. To get started, take the quiz over at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories, and each box is valued around $70, but you're only going to pay a fraction of that price. Plus, with each Box of Awesome, you're supporting the small businesses of the world. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small, up-and-coming brand. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel at any time. Brad or Alex, anything in your Box of Awesome you got recently you want to call out?
I got a sleep mask.
Ooh, I could use that.
Some sleep-enhancing products. Some gummies, let's say. What is in those gummies? That's for you to find.
Ooh. Alex?
I got a camping chair, what folds up into a little bag so you can carry it around with you, and then you unfold it and put it together, and you got yourself a camping chair.
Man, both of those things sound very useful.
Would you say they sound awesome?
I would say they sound like things that would be in a box that said Box of Awesome. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code Nextlander at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander for 20% off your first box. Boxofawesome.com, code Nextlander. Thanks, Bespoke Post. All right, we are back, and Dead Space remake
Still dead.
is out there, still trucking along, looking good, playing well. Brad Shoemaker, you've gone back into the Dead Space.
That remake is pretty good.
It's pretty fucking good.
That remake is pretty good. I stand by some of what I said last week about parts of it feeling a little dated, but because it still is fundamentally that game, but it's pretty good.
I mean, fundamentally, that game was always pretty strong, even if it has, aged in certain respects. Like, for its time, it was fucking radical. And now it feels like the things they fleshed out are, like, the right choices by and large. But you are still operating within a particular structure from a game that is from a particular era.
Yeah, I had to go and Google the upgrade system in this to see if it's changed or not, which thankfully it has, because the upgrades were very punishing in the original game.
Yeah.
I was reminded in the original game, you had to cash in nodes for upgrade points on nodes that did nothing in the skill tree.
Yeah.
Like, just to get to the next thing that actually gave you something, you had to cash in a node on an empty slot, which is, like, fucking awful. And I think nodes also were for opening doors back then. Is that right?
Is that different?
I believe that's gone as well. Okay. So, like, every node you spend gives you something, and also, I believe, is permanent. Because there were also suits that had specific stats in the original game, and I think all the suits are just cosmetic now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could see a lot of the work that was done in there.
Like, clearly, visually, it speaks for itself. Like, I don't know, some people seem to have gotten the idea that I was saying it didn't look good last week or something. No. Like, fucking, come on.
The money is on the screen. You can see it.
Yes, it's very clear.
Just as long as you don't call it a remaster. Some people definitely got a little bent out of shape.
It's like, dude, people...
They like their terminology. I mean, these things have to mean things, or we can't have a society.
People who want to be pedantic about the meaning of remake and remaster, fucking get over yourself.
Yeah, come on.
Seriously, holy shit, man. Like, those
words
definitions
have
are
meanings,
so
okay?
fluid. Like, yes, there are obviously extreme ends of the spectrum that are easy to define, but there's all kinds of stuff in the middle that falls into both. Like, 1 foot in each. Like, just come on.
Spoken like a true centrist.
Like, come on.
Either way, this game feels like a fantastic remake of Dead Space.
A fantastic voyage, if you will.
Yeah.
It's Fantastic Voyage. It is coolio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't picked it up much more. I popped it open. Like, when I go back into it, I've had a lot of things that I was thinking about playing, and I would pop it on, and then I would be immediately exhausted, and then turn it back off.
Sure.
Be like, oh, right, yeah. this isn't a game I could just kind of sleepwalk through. I've got to kind of be on top of it, and that's why I played more Forspoken, a game I can pretty much sleepwalk through.
It's tough to go back and compare without just straight up playing the old game because they're both named the same thing, so it's basically impossible to Google for things that are just about the old game at this point. But like, I'm trying to remember, like, did the original game have security clearance levels, or is that new?
For doors and stuff?
Yeah, like the hey, you're security level 2 now, so you can open like crates and security doors that are level 2. Or is that totally new? It's been
golly gee, I don't remember.
I haven't played that game since it came out, so I can't say, but I don't remember that.
I do feel like I remember a fair amount of like key hunting or stuff, but like I don't remember if it was that exact structure or not.
Yeah.
And I just watched Abby play that game not that long ago, but you know, my memory is full of Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on 15 years for me. I don't think that was in there. I don't think side missions were in there either. So like, those are things that I might say would put it more into a remake category.
I would say it's definitely, for me, I would say it's definitely a remake, though I don't get mad at people for wanting to latch on to words, because without like the term HD, it just becomes a muddied mess when everybody starts using it for everything.
If everything is high def, then nothing is high def.
We all have a limited number of moments on this earth. Maybe
let's use them to argue whether something is a remake or remaster.
No, you gotta
maybe spend them in any other way than getting mad about what's being said about video games.
The more time people are spending arguing about remake or remaster, it's less time spending about actual nonsense, like actual worse stuff on the internet. So it's fine. It's fine by me.
So whether these security levels are new or not, the net effect of them in this case has been that I've like really run up against the AI director like dynamic encounter stuff,
like sucking out your ammo,
which I'm like really of two minds about, because conceptually it's kind of amazing. Because I've been very completionist about like, oh, I just got a security upgrade, I've got to sweep this whole area and go get all the excuse me, stuff that I unlocked before I move on to the next objective. And going back through that stuff, like you see, like, damn, they respawn a lot of enemies in unexpected places. It's more than that though. It's like there's one room in medical that it's just a long hallway with a dip in the middle and a big pipe over it. People might know what I'm talking about. I've come to think of it as more of a hellway. Because for some reason they just keep spawning monsters into that room. And like at one point I had to run through there to get something on the other end and then run back. And like they spawn monsters both runs through. It was like I had to fight another like 6 things just backtracking through this area to go get some items that I missed. And like, it kind of feels like you're coming out net negative in some. I was just going to ask: are they dropping enough ammo to cover your costs? It feels sometimes like it. I feel like I'm getting a lot of 100 credits, 400 credits, like things that are maybe not super worth it from enemies. Like they do drop health and ammo as well.
Could you farm if you wanted? Or would you run out of ammo at some point?
That's where I was going to say, like, someone might suggest that I get good. Like that's the thing. Like, if you take those encounters really well, then you probably could come out ahead. But, like, it's not a slouch. Like, even on normal, it's pretty, like, demanding, I guess. It's not, like, impossible. I've only died, like, once so far. But in terms of resource scarcity, it's, like, pretty demanding. Like, I've definitely got down to, like, I've got 2 shots left in this plasma cutter. Like, holy shit, what am I going to do? That type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, I've definitely felt like I came out kind of net negative a couple times going back to, like, I'm going to go unlock that security door and get the stuff in there, but it's like, oh, I feel like I've got less now than I did going in. The other thing, though, is I was going to say, like, it's not just random enemy spawns. They'll do shit like turning the lights off in the room. Like, one of the times I ran through that room, they just shut the lights off, and I was like, fuck, this is kind of terrifying. Like, it's cool. It's cool on a design level to see them make things so unpredictable. Or like they start spawning. I remember from the original game, they will spawn enemies in 0G and in vacuum. And there was not some big reveal of that in this. They just did it randomly when I was going back to get some stuff. Like, there was not some like, hey, we're doing enemies in Spacewalk now. It was just, oh, this is the 5th time I've been through here looking for stuff. Holy shit, now there's an enemy here. Like, it's awesome from a horror unpredictability standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, it feels maybe just a tad bit punishing I'm trying to save ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Do they mark security doors on your map?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you know where they are.
They mark doors, but not containers. There are tons of like lockers and foot lockers that also have security clearance on them, and they do not mark those on the map, which is a real bummer.
That's frustrating.
But these straight up doors that have a level are easy to find and come back to.
So this might have been talked about in some of the making ofs, because there were a bunch of them, and about what's going on behind the scenes, the AI director stuff like you're talking about. So I'll talk about it as if it was not talked about. If it was, I apologize to anybody. How would you feel about the AI director managing drops from enemies based on what you have versus being pure RNG?
I think that's fine. I think that's definitely a common survival horror thing. I can't say if they're doing that here or not.
So would you be like, hey, if you need ammo, they will drop ammo, or if you have or would you rather it just be pure random?
I'm trying to think. Like, I feel like there's like definitely some Resident Evil games that it feels like do that. I can't, like, nothing's coming to mind, but definitely some games in this genre do that. Like,
okay,
probably more so than this one. That's just my gut feeling. Like, I don't really have a problem with it.
Okay.
Like, it is definitely feels a little bit kind of like Rubber Band AI or something.
Like a mercy, like, don't help me out.
This is not the true masochistic experience because you're throwing me a bone every time I need one. But
yeah.
Like, that's video games.
That's video games, yeah.
Like, I love those Twitter threads that'll pop up from game designers now and then of like, here's all the little hidden shit we did in this game that you had no idea we were doing to make it more fun for you.
Right. Like hitboxes and like
like we're fudging the physics on things and like just tweaking numbers and dials and stuff.
Right, because you want it to be fun in the end.
Yeah. But again, even on normal, like it feels tense and taut and like, oh man, I'm constantly like trying to save ammo. Like I'm frantically trying to find like a pole to kinesis something with, so I don't have to waste bullets here. I need to get deeper in. I'm still in chapter 3, but I can't remember if you get more I have to imagine you get more stopping power in that thing. Because that's, again, like I said last week, that's the reason this is so terrifying to me, is they just get in your fucking face.
Yeah, they do.
And you can't really get them off of you, and I think that does get better as you get more stuff.
I have read that you have to cut off their limbs.
That's it. Okay.
Yes. You might have
Where
missed
did you
that
read that?
It was written in blood on a wall. Yeah.
Oh, you can't take that kind of thing seriously.
Hey, pass it on.
People lie on walls all the time.
Send this message to 5 friends. Make sure it's in blood. Dead Space, currently out now, $60 or $70, depending on where you are playing.
It's that good shit.
It's that good Dead Space shit. Let's move on here and talk about Tape to Tape.
Yeah, so the Steam Next Fest is going on right now. If you don't know what that is I'm just going to call it a huge fucking dump of game demos. And I don't mean that in a negative connotation at all. It is a satisfying dump. It is a delightful dump. It is a
big dump, a healthy dump.
It is a healthy, engaging dump.
A healthy, engaging dump.
So there are like 1 million demos out right now over on Steam. If you want to go check out some big releases coming up more from the indie space than anything else, but that's a pretty wide space these days. And I've downloaded a whole bunch of them. I've only managed to get to one of them so far, but like I said, there is no shortage of variety out there.
Yeah.
But the one I have played is Tape to Tape, which is a roguelite hockey game.
Gonna have to explain that one to me.
Okay, so you know what hockey is.
I am aware.
You are friends with Jeff Backlog, so you know what that means.
Yeah,
okay.
I am aware of the hockey.
So it has you can just play regular hockey games if you want, and the hockey itself has a real arcadey like.
Is it 3-on-3, 5-on-5?
It's 5-on-5, but it has that real like NES, Super NES like style like. It has basic checking and shooting and passing mechanics, but it's not doing anything more complicated than that.
Okay. Is it 3D? Is it like locked on a
how do I explain
plane?
The arts?
Is it behind the back?
It's like a cell-shaded animation style. The characters, that's kind of like the modern, you're looking slightly above, but also slightly down angle.
But fixed to
angle.
horizontal?
Yeah.
Okay, like Blades of Steel, but the camera's a little higher or something?
Yeah, it's just it's that up and down hockey camera that you see even in like modern games now.
Okay.
But the characters, they have a little bit of like a 2D look to them, but I think they are 3D models.
All right.
And the campaign, though, which you only get to play chapter 1 in this demo, but it is like you're a traveling hockey team. You create a character, you pick up new characters for your team over time. You start out with a bunch of scrubs on your squad, and then like if you encounter a new guy who will join your team, they will join your team.
Okay, that's how it works, right?
You play games against opponent teams, and then in between each big game, like there is like a little random event of, hey, do you want to rest here and maybe train your team, or do you want to go here and meet a guy who will maybe give you a special item? And those special items are things like, you know, hey, do you want to have more energy in the third period toward the end of the game, or do you want to have your team perform better when they're down on the scoreboard? And the teams are all like, I mean, the characters are all just like little ridiculous caricatures like you would see in like an old non-licensed sports game from back in the day. Like the final team you play against in the campaign chapter they showed is a team of referees who cheat.
Are they in ref shirts?
Yes.
That's great. I'm looking at a screenshot now. It's not Blades of Steel. It's like you said. It's more like NHL games.
Yeah.
That vertical layout. Okay. Yes. How is the hockey playing?
It's not bad. Like, it's not complicated. Okay. I think the AI is a little suspect in places, but for the most part, the hockey feels good and feels like you can set up some pretty good wild plays in the context of what they're doing. I'm mostly interested in it because the idea of indie sports is a thing that has existed for a while, but has not necessarily gained like huge amounts of traction because people just want to play the games that are based on the real life leagues for the most part. I feel like basketball has maybe had the most inroads with some of that stuff, but there have been indie football games. There hasn't really been a lot of indie hockey in the last decade or so.
Yeah, have there been any like indie Tecmo Bowl likes? Like that seems like the kind of thing that would be ripe for nostalgia.
I mean, outside of like Blood Bowl type stuff, there has been, I think, a couple of, hey, we're the independent answer to something like Madden entries, but nothing that is just straight up like Tecmo Bowl style that I know of. There might be in places that I just haven't seen. But this feels different enough that it isn't just like, hey, here's the better version of like the EA NHL stuff. Like, this is kind of doing its own thing. But I kind of like what that thing is.
More genre mashups, man.
Totally.
Like we have character action and rhythm. We have hockey game, but a roguelike. Like just cram some more unexpected shit together and see how it works.
I mean, the thing it reminds me of, not narratively, because it's not really doing that, but at least in terms of kind of the structure of it, it kind of reminds me of my favorite Supergiant game, Pyre.
Okay. I like Pyre.
Man. Pyre is like my Supergiant game of shame.
Transistor is mine.
I really should have played. See, I love Transistor and played the hell out of that. But Pyre I thought was fascinating and like I respected it a lot, but I didn't get through it for some reason.
It's not a crowd pleaser the way that like Bastion and Hades were. Like, I think it is so much more specific to the thing they want to do with it, but I really jived with that.
I feel like that speaks volumes to basically some of our different tastes in games, where I feel like Transistor was a mechanics first game.
Yes, and even more to the point, like Transistor very clearly made by people who have made RTSs before, which they all have, and like people who have played a lot of Dota, which they all have.
Yeah.
I was shocked how good the orb sports were in Pyre. I know some people like that was the wall. Was they did not really get into the actual gameplay part of it that much. I get it, but like I think between the narrative and sort of like the surprisingly enjoyable mechanics of orb dunking, I had a blast with that thing.
Yeah, I also enjoyed Pyre, but also didn't get into Transistor as deeply as I thought I was going to.
I finished Transistor, I just didn't love it as much as the other ones.
Transistor also, I don't know if I want to say it, maybe the dark horse candidate for best Supergiant soundtrack.
Ooh, interesting.
I would hear that argument. I would absolutely hear that argument. I think Hades gives it a real run. I liked Pyre's soundtrack, that wasn't necessarily a standout element for me.
I still like Bastion.
I think Bastion might actually still be my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, Bastion is the go-to answer for sure, but the more I have listened to Transistor over time, the more I'm like,
It's really good. The soundtrack is really, really good.
It's just one of those things. I feel bad when I feel like now when a Supergiant game comes out, you gotta look out.
You gotta rank them.
Well, you gotta look out other music categories because they genuinely have a pretty
Darren Korb
pretty solid.
rarely
hit
misses,
ratio.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yes. At the very least, there's going to be a track on there that's going to be like, this is going to put it in the room.
I promise I'm not saying that just because I'm in the same rock band group with him.
Rock band group.
They have those like, what is it? I forget what they're called, but they're like, you can be part of a team that takes on the challenges week after week. There's like 4 of us in that group.
Just want to clarify that not necessarily a rock band group.
No.
Rock band group.
I don't play that game multiplayer hardly at all. It's just that we are in the same team that tackles the challenges together each week.
Love it.
Clan, yeah, that kind of
thing. Okay. That feels like language that'll go away. That's probably a term that will be not used in the future.
Yes, I'm going to say the days of the clan are hopefully in their waning days.
That's tape to tape.
I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to let FaZe Clan know then.
I'm telling you, I feel like this is one of those things where remember when they used to call them clan tags? Be like, oh, right.
I mean, at least it wasn't with a K.
Yeah. Right. Mortal Kombat never got too deep into it. That thank goodness.
Yeah.
Tape to tape. In demo form now.
Yes, it is one of the many, many Steam Fest demos, more of which I will play this week. But I think if you like hockey, check that one out.
Yeah, Steam Next Fest is awesome from the end user standpoint. I wonder how developers feel about it. Because it's so many goddamn demos.
Yeah.
It's hard to stand out.
So easy to get buried in there.
I was only recently still deleting demos I had from last one that were still installed on my machine.
Yeah, kind of taking a detour from your development cycle to make a demo if that wasn't otherwise in the cards, and then if that doesn't pay off, I could see that maybe being kind of rough.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a real crapshoot. What rises to the top or not? I'm just clicking and clicking. I mean, there are dozens of demos here, if not a couple hundred. I don't know, man. This is a lot.
They should really extend it out, I think, at this point to a month. It's just, I mean, some of these demos go past. They don't expire. On a lot of them, they're just promoted during Next Fest.
Yeah,
there were definitely demos that went past this week. So I don't know if it's clear which ones will and will not. But I remember after Next Fest, I was still playing demos after. It's not like they expired.
Yeah.
I
might just extend what I was saying a little bit. Like when you go to the Next Fest page, the 3 default sorts for browse demos are popular, most wishlisted, and most daily active players. And so all 3 of those are just snowball effect of the stuff that catches on early is the stuff that's pretty much just going to sit at the top of those lists.
Though when I click on daily active demo players, no matches are found.
Yeah, that one seems to be broken at the moment.
So. But on the left you can narrow by, right? You
can go out of your way to filter by your preferences, but a lot of people are just going to look at these most popular lists.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of stuff in there. You guys are going to check some of that stuff out on Thursday, right?
I believe that is the plan. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I will probably be playing some of those demos for the first time on there, but
cool.
As good as reason as any.
Yeah, so people can tune in if they want to check out some Nextlander curated. Alex, you're going to pull up a bunch and try and get in there for some on Thursday. So check that out this coming Thursday. Moving on to a game I think we've all spent some time in. Hitman Freelancer mode.
I have a helicopter now. I own a helicopter.
It's so ridiculous that you just unlock things to get to missions. Like, just kind of cosmetically.
Well, I think it might actually unlock some of the exits in those maps.
Wait, what?
Like the helipad, like in Paris and stuff.
You're a liar.
Oh, no, I'd swear I've taken the helipad out of Paris at a very
Maybe you can
level.
do that, and maybe do it anyway, but I feel like once I got the boat from the dock outside, I was able to use, on Haven Island, I was able to use the boat exit, the little motorboat thing.
I mean, are they pretty much tying some mechanical benefit to every unlock in that house? Like,
not always. Sometimes it's literally just like, hey, there's a newspaper in here you can use as a weapon if you want.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, at a minimum, there's like a new item in there that you can grab before every mission or something like that.
There are also just pure aesthetics that you can unlock.
Like the motivational posters, I don't think do. Yeah. I mean, they make them feel good.
I mean, those are their own reward.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, like as you unlock rooms, as you redecorate rooms, I think also you might get some items. Like if you have boxes there and then change it into a bench, you might have a thing. All I know is I grab that wrench from the garage all the time. The wrench comes with me on every mission.
Mine's a grape knife.
I haven't gotten that yet. That's the garage. That's
no,
shed?
that's outside. Once you get the shed, and I know you want that shed.
I want that shed. Not bummer. I like the mode a lot. My pet peeve with it is I almost wish you could just say, start me with the grape knife so I don't have to go run to go get it every time.
Yes.
You know?
Even if there was like a little table downstairs next to the missions that's like, here are 3 items you can lock down as like, this will always be on this table.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I mean, it's nice because there's an exit usually where, like, there's an exit in the garage. I think there's the exit by the shed. So once you get the item, you can get out. But having to do the kind of run of the house before the mission,
yes,
it's usually only before the first mission. But
I mean, again, my complaints with that mode are all little things like that, like little tweaks and balances and things like that. But by and large, this is the thing I've been playing, and I kind of can't stop.
I've been playing a lot of it as well.
I had to stop.
You had to stop. You were forced. Work made you stop.
I locked my save up behind a stream.
You did
that I now can't touch until next week.
It's hard. Yes. I'm getting better at Hitman.
Me too, dude.
Yeah. It forces you to get better. I've watched now also some like tips videos for that mode. Because there are a couple of, aside from those specific mechanics that are in this freelancer mode in terms of the rogue elements, there are certain things about levels that I think could help you out. Like there's a silenced pistol buried at a certain level. There are some weapons that you can get to really help out in the early runs if you want to take the time and structure the maps you're going to be on. In a way, you know, like you can pick the assignments. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to be on Ambrose Island. There's a silenced pistol here. If I go get it on my first run, I could have that for the remainder of the games. Or the assassins have them, stuff like that. Because it's gnarly out there. Yeah. It's there's not a lot of room for messing up.
But you know what? The thing this mode has made me better at is relying on guns way, way less. Like, I never bring a gun unless there is a very specific objective that is like, sniper kill 3 people, and I know I can do it on the map without, like, sparking too much bullshit off.
Right.
I am now so much more adept at finding weapons on a map, but also just knowing that if I happen to stumble upon my target or whatever, and I just need to get them alone, I can just throw that motherfucking grape knife and get the fuck out of there. And, like, that kind of, like, just sort of, like, you know, thinking on your feet, having random objects and figuring out how to use them that are not just, like, shoot this guy in the head.
Yeah. That
has always been kind of my Achilles heel in these games. And now I'm getting a lot better at that stuff.
I think my biggest knowledge base increment has been on the different states of compromised hostile trespassing.
Yes.
And what that really means in terms of recovery, right? Like, oh, okay, you're trespassing. If I just wait here, somebody will escort me back out and we'll be fine. Or that person might escort me back out in a way that puts them isolated and I can kill them. So they might escort me out and be like, oh, great, you're going to escort me out and I could just kill you while you're escorting me out.
Good night, Irene. You're not coming back.
Or being hostile, going to compromise and being like, it's not game over. I'm compromised in this certain situation because the limiters on that I tried to go for the XP boost will be like, you know, Brad, we saw this during your stream, you know, only change outfits once, right? And normally when I'm compromised, I'll be like, well, I gotta go change an outfit, but I don't want to break this thing. So I have to work within the constraints now. And what does that mean? And it's giving me a better understanding of how the game treats all of those states and what those mean.
The whole being selectively compromised with only a few people thing is something I have never wanted to engage with in that game because I don't want the fuzzy guesswork later if shit hits the fan of like trying to figure out who knows who I am and who doesn't, you know?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Like the second I would be compromised, I'd be like, fuck it, that disguise is burned. I don't care if it's 2 people that know who I am. I don't want to try to remember which 2 people or You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
it's better to just go get another disguise because who cares?
Definitely.
But this, yeah, like they totally railroad you into like really engaging with the mechanics. Like it's cool.
It's cool. And, it's introducing me to places on these big maps that I've somehow never been to before. There are just areas of these maps that I'm like, how have I never seen this entire zone and whatever is going on here? I like it. Do I wish it were less punishing? Maybe, or I wish I were better at Hitman. I don't know. I can't tell which one. It's there are still certain maps that I don't look forward to playing, but I gotta tell you,
Colorado, baby, fuck that map.
I gotta tell you, I get a little bit of a thrill when they start you in a hot zone, and you're like, all right,
Gotta figure a way out of it.
I can, and it's like, when you start in a hot zone, and it's also like, do not change disguises at all, and you're like,
Right.
what are you talking about? How are you supposed to do this? And those are kind of fun little things because unless it's way later on, anything after the first, for me right now, because I'm still early on, the first syndicate takedown, then it becomes much more serious. Anything before that,
Whatever.
it's fine. It's fine. But
Yeah,
after that, then it's like, oh man.
Then it's on.
In a game that has let you save scum to date, like the pressure of potentially losing hours and hours of progress, all hinging on like one scenario is like pretty unique in that game. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, and so I've gotten used to playing alerted zones. That's not really that big a thing now, but if you blow it on the syndicate level, you're done. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You've got on the showdown. I think they call it the showdown level. Like you're done. It's made me more patient.
Yeah. Does the progression track show everything in there? Can you just see like what the very final unlock is?
I'm pretty sure.
I know a good amount of that stuff is in there. I was like trying to find if anybody has just delineated on the internet, like here's everything you get at the end of that thing. Because I'm just really curious what the final end game of Freelancer looks like.
I don't think there was any. It's like you're talking about that battle pass like track, right?
Yeah, just all the
mastery
unlocks.
track.
Yeah, or even if there are other mission types or modes that unlock or anything like that. I just wonder like what does maxing out Freelancer look like? I wonder.
So there's hardcore mode, which is like I think you have to take the extra objective and you have to beat it in order to get credit for the in addition to everything being harder.
Yeah,
I think
hardcore mode seems legitimately like fuck you mode. Like it is very much like not intended for anyone other than people who have done this for tens and if not hundreds of hours.
Like it is absolutely if you suit only silent assassin every level already, this is the mode for you. You can do that at the beginning, right? Like can't you just turn on hardcore mode?
I don't think you can. I think I think it might be locked out until you finish a whole run. At least I think it is, because I think it's one of those grayed out ones when you go to the thing. There's also all the little achievements like, hey, get 500 syndicate kills and get the golden duck or whatever. All those little, like at the end of a mission, it has all those tiles that load in. You could try and go for all of those things as well, which good luck, You remember when you were doing it and one wasn't loading? It was a question mark.
Yes, right.
Yeah, all those little tiles that load in, which I looked through a bunch of those as well and was like, oh my gosh, some of those seem like a lot. My thing still, because I have a collection bug and sickness in me, is I want to fill up that tools briefcase and I want it to stay full.
Yes.
I understand having those things at the start of every mission would break the difficulty, but I at least put a one behind glass or something that I can't touch that just says I got the item.
It's kind of crazy when you put it like that they made this massive display case and there's no way to permanently fill it, because just the psychological satisfaction of looking at that case completely full. Like that would be the thing to work toward if you could.
I'm probably going to buy those 2 like skin packs of items that are on the left side of the display case. Because I don't think you can get those items unless you buy that DLC skin pack for those 2 sets of items. They're like whatever it is, like street items or broken items. I think the one's like, you can't get the rusty broken katana unless you bought that skin pack. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to fill up this case and not have those things there?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the gun. To be clear, the guns do stay. Like there is stuff that stays, but it's that case of like the fucking hardcore tools, like the dart gun and sedative vial and like the real assassin shit.
Yep.
Just being empty all the time is just kind of painful.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna start every mission with like 5 rubber ducks? Like
yes.
Well, I mean, if you earned them, yes. Like I think if you did the work to save them and built them up, then yeah, I think there's an argument for that being allowed. But
I would take a compromise and just say like, just give me you got this thing once and put it in the showcase, and I can't take it in again. I just want to. I hate empty foam cut cases. Like it really bugs me.
I get it. I mean, they already have the filtering mechanism in there of only items with rarity come out of missions, right. So they could already make it where like explosive ducks with rarity are rare.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like already they could limit like how many chances you'd have to fill that thing up. But anyway,
I watched somebody playing who had it pretty much full by about 3/4 through their run. And I was like, maybe it's not as hard to fill that thing up as I think, given the item you get for every start of a mission. You get that, and you get the special showdown item if you beat the showdown. So maybe it's not as hard, but I don't know. It seems tough. It's another thing to worry about as I struggle to even make it up to the second showdown. That is out now, of course, and the other thing I just hope comes at some point is a unified cross save system for Hitman someday. Please, I would like to be able to play that on my PlayStation version I have and carry over my progress on all versions, because I own that game on like 3 different places, but I'm never going to play the other ones because why would I play it if my progress doesn't carry over?
It would be nice. This reads to me like they're done. Like,
I think they are.
In terms of development resources, this absolutely feels like.
Wasn't there one more map?
No,
I think that was the Ambrose Island one.
They are super done with that stuff.
Oh, was that the map?
I think that was the map.
Okay, that was the last one we got. I thought there was one other one. Okay.
I think this mode is kind of. I even feel fortunate that we got this. I thought they were just kind of done after that last map and the 7 Deadly Sins stuff.
Like it seems like they might do some tweaks to this mode at some point, but that's it. Like it's not like they're going to add a whole new suite of content for it.
I think they're just busy with Bond and whatever else they've got going on at this point. Like this is a pretty like amazing swan song for this trilogy if that's how it ends up, though.
I agree.
Do you think who's Bond? Is MGM still around?
Oh yes.
MGM is now owned by Amazon.
Okay. Is that Bond?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think they would let them sneak in any Hitman stuff into a poster or like a reference to like Bond saying like Agent 47 or like somebody, somebody being like, who's on the case? 00 whatever, 47.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bond people seem pretty precious about the sanctity of Bond.
All right. Well,
I like your idea though.
If IO can sneak something in the background, that'd be pretty fun. Of like, don't worry, agents. We sent 47 off on that case. You can go worry about this thing, or something.
I could see something super subtle in there.
Yeah, I mean they all have numbers, right? So
it's true.
47 wouldn't be that out of place.
A man with a barcode on his neck was seen fleeing.
That's right. He's the master of disguise. Don't worry.
That said, they will definitely find a way to get Diana into that Bond game.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, she's basically M or Q already, right?
Greetings, 007.
Yeah. Totally. Like, okay, how about this? Is Agent 47 a foil, a nemesis for Bond? Is Agent 47 a good Bond villain?
Oh, he'd be the worst. He would destroy all of the Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah, he'd sneak in as Bond.
Yeah.
I think he would wreck shop. It's too much.
Nobody would be able to tell the difference. Like, what weird? Bond is bald all of a sudden. But
you look a little different, James.
It's the spitting image.
Mm-hmm. Was it the ICA? Is that the assassins?
Yeah, but I can't remember where they left that stuff. Or the ICA, the bad guys now, or did they flip good? Yeah, did they flip good again? I can't remember.
Some Bourne Identity style.
I'm not sure any of that really matters.
No, no. All right, Hitman Freelancer mode. I'm sure you'll hear more about it in the future. I'm not done yet. I don't know. I'm so far away from completing a full thing. It feels out of reach right now, but I am able to complete the first showdown, kind of sleepwalking through it at this point. I am getting better to not stress about getting through the first showdown. It's just things pick up after that. The game I keep picking up and going back to is Forspoken.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've unlocked enough abilities and traversal stuff to make the combat and the traversal to take away some of the tedium I was having with those aspects. I'm not going to say I'm fully hooked on everything that's in it, but I want to see what happens in that world. So I am being very selective. This is very against my nature, very selective in all the side stuff I do, and kind of just making sure I am powerful enough to meet the next big story challenge.
That is 100% the way to play that game, because none of that side stuff is interesting from what I found.
Yeah, like I go for the stat boosts and I don't go for the gear. So I go for like, hey, +5 to defense and attack power and all this stuff.
Yes.
And then I kind of burn through most of the gear stuff, and I'm like, I'm pretty good here. So I will probably finish that game, I hope. I don't really... You guys had mentioned maybe it wasn't as long as I thought last time, so...
Like 15, 20 hours is what it said.
I think I'm closing in on that time, but I have only switched gears fairly recently to not try to collect everything, because I really just got burned out and bored of it. It's pretty... Also, I find the let's call it minute-to-minute writing much less interesting than the grand scope story. Like the dialogue and the interactions, I find still, I don't know, something clunky about it, or it's like hard to describe. But I am interested in the world building of that place. So I'm interested to see what happens there. That's Forspoken. Boy, there are games. There's like I said, I got a backlog of stuff here that I need to get going, finish up for 2023 already. I mean, it seems like we got a little bit of a break now for releases for a little bit, but not too long. March is coming, so
the rest of this month is fairly thin. Finish the survival horror remake trifecta next month with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
pretty exciting. Also, I just looked at just to close the loop on the Steam Next Fest stuff. If you finish all those games, there are 837 demos in the Steam Next Fest.
That is a lot.
Oh my!
Unless yes, okay, that seems right. It says in the search, in the just flat search with nothing filtered, 837 matches.
So I want to just make a point here for people listening who might be more aware than we are, but that I think that's demos that are at least don't have to be new release demos. They could just be demos that are circulating that want to participate. That
could be just demos that existed already and were available, got looped into that as well.
Yeah, so I don't think that's all new stuff or stuff that you can't buy yet, like preview builds, but it's certainly a lot of stuff.
Yeah, scrolling way down this list of the top games, they're all kind of early 2023 so far, so there's a lot of upcoming stuff here.
Enough to keep you busy. Xbox has a thing in the summer, right, for demos? They do that like regularly, or does that just happen once in a while?
I think they did it again last year. I think was that in conjunction with Summer Games Fest? I forget.
I thought maybe it was like they did, and those seemed more timed than, let's say, the PC stuff.
Yes, they did do that last year, right around that time.
I want to say, is that where we first played Spider Hack? Or was
possibly that sounds right. Yes, that was in fact on this list.
We'll check all that stuff out. Certainly will keep you busy. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the news, so stick around.
This week's show is brought to you by Factor. You know Factor, we've had them on the show before. They bring you fresh, ready-to-eat meals that you just have to heat up and make for yourself. It's a new year. Maybe you've got some goals around eating better, eating right in the new year. Factor's here to help you achieve each and every one of those goals. No matter what your lifestyle is, Factor has delicious, flavor-packed meals to help you live it to the fullest. They have keto options, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, protein plus, among others. Each of their meals is prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, and each meal has all of the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long. With 34 different weekly options, there's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of over 36 sweets, smoothies, juices, and more satisfying add-ons. If you get Factor, you can enjoy clean eating without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed food delivered to your door. It's ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. If you'd like to get in on Factor, head to factormeals.com/Nextlander50 and use the code Nextlander50 to get 50% off your first box. That is code Nextlander50 at factormeals.com/Nextlander50 to get 50% off your first box. Thanks, Factor.
We are back, and it is time to go through this week's news. Sometimes we read the news. Sometimes we make the news. No, hopefully we're not. Nope. Don't worry.
What did we do?
Nope, nothing. Brad Shoemaker, you've gone through and plucked some of the biggest, hottest news items out there in the gaming industry world.
Biggest, hottest?
Biggest, hottest. That's what I'm saying. Look out.
Lofty promise here, but
you want to start with this 360 store story?
Sure. How would you feel if the Xbox 360 marketplace went away forever entirely?
Very bummed. Very sad.
I would be super fucking bummed. Like, way out of proportion to its importance, I think.
It's probably the biggest one for me.
It's a very special marketplace.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
It is pretty good.
Like, it's kind of the one, right? Like the progenitor marketplace
of its era.
PS3 era, PSN definitely has some exclusives on there that are also noteworthy. But Journey's been released on everything. So anyway, the reason I say that is, like, we've seen this happen. Like the Wii, the Wii shop, the Wii eShop, it's gone, right? Like, I don't want to be like only the Xbox mattered or whatever, because this has happened before. But for some reason, this one hits different. Basically got a couple of trial balloons here to cover, the first of which is that, well, okay, maybe it's you tell me if you think this is a trial balloon or not.
Okay. A
support page went up in Xbox support, which Microsoft now claims was an error, saying that, okay, let me just try to find the actual language here. So there's a screenshot floating, because this is gone. The support page disappeared. So there's a screenshot floating around. Okay, here's the full language. We will be closing the Xbox 360 marketplace over the next year, so we encourage you to purchase any 360 games or DLC by May 2023.
Seems pretty explicit to me.
Which is in 3 months.
Seems pretty straightforward. They're closing the 360 marketplace.
Yeah, so this happened directly in the wake of them delisting a few games last week, which we didn't cover because, like, that happens a lot. It didn't seem super noteworthy. But they did delist, this was like last Monday, I think. There's some stuff on here, like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood 3 and 4, Blue Dragon, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, Cloning Clyde. Dark Souls.
Oh.
Brad Muir's Iron Brigade. Jet Set Radio, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, Limbo, Mass Effect 2, Spelunky. Some other stuff. Orange Box. Like, basically some games of note got delisted from the 360 marketplace, meaning you can no longer buy them as of last week. And then this support page appeared out of nowhere, directly on the heels of that, and people were like, huh.
It's all going down, man.
And that support page has now come down, and
it's all coming down, man.
Microsoft says the message was posted in error, and we can confirm the Xbox 360 marketplace will not close in May 2023. Then they say, as a reminder, beginning on... Oh, I'm sorry, the announcement was last week. The actual delisting was yesterday at the time of this recording.
Okay.
So those games I just mentioned and some others went down as of yesterday, but yeah, there's basically, like, as a reminder, beginning on February 7th, a limited set of games, add-ons, and in-game content will no longer be purchasable. But like,
you don't make a fake page.
They say it was an error.
I don't know about that.
So it would not be the first time that somebody has gestured towards shutting down a storefront and then backpedaled, like Sony did that with PS3.
So the weird thing was, as far as I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was discovered from it showed up in a search, right? It wasn't like promoted. It's like Wario64 found it because it showed up on the search results from different. So it was like tucked away. Yeah. Got kind of pulled into their search thing, which really sounds like they have this page prepped to push out, and it stumbled into their search, and this is not fake.
It seems telling, and maybe they're adjusting plans based on outcry or whatever, but I don't know, man. In my mind, that thing was never going anywhere, ever. Like, I know. The Xbox 360 is the, like, original online marketplace of record.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yes.
It's literally, like, where downloadable games, like, became defined, right?
Yes. Well, no, but yes. For consoles, for sure, but, like, you know, it's the thing that puts, you know, the Xbox Live Arcade. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yes. Geometry Wars was a launch game for the 360. Digital only. I don't think they put out a physical release of that, did they?
Yeah, I feel like it's the first real big online marketplace that really took hold. And
for consoles.
For consoles.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody that was selling entire whole ass games prior to that on a marketplace.
I do think that might have been the first one where it really took hold, yeah.
Like, the original Xbox had some sort of add-ons. How did they handle that stuff? I don't remember. I never had Xbox Live for the first Xbox.
The original Xbox was weird because I don't think they ever did, or if they did, they didn't do it until much later. There really wasn't much content you could get through that. It was more of just the online services.
Yeah, I don't think you could get to a storefront in there.
Because I remember
there was one.
There was that one Xbox WrestleMania game where they shipped the online completely broken. And it was a whole to-do to figure out how to get a patch to that Xbox game where the code they had sent out was broken. Like, that infrastructure just was not built into that system.
I want to say at the best you had games that had their own marketplace within the game, and you could maybe connect through the game, but not a unified OS level marketplace.
But even then, I don't think DLC had really come to consoles by then. That was really the 360 era. That was like Oblivion Horse Armor shit.
Armor, yeah. So anyway, I'm with you, Brad. It feels like, you know, I know the it rattles a little bit seeing that this is not. I mean, we've known this. We've talked about this. You guys especially have. Alex, you have.
This will happen eventually, no matter what.
You know, you are the kind of harbinger of
I am the keeper of the DLC library,
or the ephemeral digital goods.
Like, the one thing I would say there is, like, the only thing that blurs the lines here is that Microsoft is still supporting, like, this whole continuum of Xbox, right?
Yes.
Like, kind of from the original to now, like, all 4 Xbox platforms are kind of one thing. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of holes in backwards compatibility and stuff like that. That's the thing.
They're doing as best they can.
Right. But, like, there's been a sense that the whole continuum of Xbox content would kind of just be around. So that's the one thing that makes it feel really weird to think, like, oh, wow, you might not be able to buy a bunch of XBLA games very soon.
I have to imagine, I'm no engineer, nor am I a lawyer, or the many things that are probably involved in this, but, you know, at some point you want to move code, file storage, method of transport, legally get rid of stuff. You want to move on, right? And supporting that becomes a lot of trouble to always be backwards compatible with those stores, because you're not sending down patches for the Xbox 360 anymore.
But I will say, on the engineering side of things, the thing I've always been told is that while there obviously are key differences from Xbox platform to Xbox platform, it's not the nightmare that PlayStation made for themselves.
Well, fair enough.
With the PS3 stuff and like, you know, all the trying to forward compatible that stuff.
And
like
usernames and all that stuff.
That always seemed like a much more chintzy infrastructure from those early days for them than it did 360.
Yeah. It seemed like they were more forward thinking on the Xbox side.
More so, at least. Yeah.
More so.
if and when this comes to pass, I mean, like a bunch of these 360 games are now backwards compatible, and those seem to have gotten packaged up and put on for sale on like the modern marketplace.
Yeah.
So like even when quote unquote the 360 marketplace is gone, like a bunch of those games may still be available in the newer interface, but not all of them. Like definitely not all of them.
Still want to be able to boot up the blades and connect.
Wither cloning Clyde.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just looking at this list here, you can't buy Daytona USA anymore.
Somebody will sell you Daytona.
Final Fight Double Impact.
Daytona is dead.
N Plus. Remember N Plus?
Somebody will host their own instance of the Microsoft Store, and then you got to know someone to get in, man. I
really didn't follow up on it. I saw some people talking a couple days ago about Xenia, the 360 emulator, which, as far as I understand, doesn't work super well yet.
Mm-hmm.
Being packaged up as a UWP app so you can run it on a Series X.
Oh, wow.
In developer mode or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe not even developer mode. I think you could probably just put it on the storefront and download it.
Huh.
Like the idea of running a homebrew 360 emulator on your new Xbox rather than engaging with their backwards compatible stuff is like bizarre.
It's a very funny concept.
But somebody's going to get there. I mean, like I said, I think it like hardly runs games at the moment, but
well,
life will find a way.
It always does.
When, I'm not even going to say if, when that 360 store has an official announcement, we'll be sure to check back in. And just a quick reminder, the Wii U and 3DS stuff is coming down this March, right? End of this March.
Yes,
so
I'd forgotten about that.
So heads
I think we passed the point already, right, where you could like buy more currency. I think.
Yeah, I don't think you can put money into the system.
No,
I think you can only download your business. So heads up.
End of an era.
Speaking of Nintendo stores, Brad Shoemaker, you've got another story here concerning the sale of a certain game.
Yeah, this happened this morning. There's a Nintendo Direct later today.
There is.
Nintendo doesn't have a lot of stuff on the books at this point. There's a limited number of things about which that could be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them being the new Zelda.
Yeah.
That seems fair.
A product page for which went live briefly this morning with a price of $69.99, which I think is a first for Nintendo first party on the Switch.
It is, though I think there's been some walk back of that.
Since already?
I haven't been able. As of like 2 hours ago, they pulled the page down, but did Nintendo put out a statement or something?
No, I don't think there's been a statement,
Okay.
but I think it's up in the air as to whether that is the actual price or someone may have just thrown that in there because they think that's what all the new video games cost.
Yes, to be clear, that is not official as of now, but Nintendo did put up a listing at $69.99 briefly this morning.
But that did cause, according to this story on Eurogamer, it did cause some U.S. retailers to take down their pre-orders, right? On like for the $59.99 pre-orders to stop people from potentially locking in a $60 price.
Yes.
So there is confusion in the marketplace.
Yes, people, let's say there are opinions about the idea that this might be $70, considering that most Switch games are not. At the same time, I 100% believe it. Like, I will be shocked if this does not go on sale at $70.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get it. It's extremely,
they should not do it, but I bet they will do it.
It's now 6-year-old hardware. It just hit me in the matter of about 3 weeks or a month. The Switch is going to be 6 years old. So, like, on one level, I get it. But also everything is $70 now. Like, of course they're going to do that.
Yeah. Like, do I want to pay more for my video games? No. But also, do we live in an economy in a world where everything is more money and game prices are going to move too? Yes, that's just kind of development is more expensive. Labor should be more expensive. Hopefully, people are paying people more, and we'll get to that in a second with more Nintendo stuff. But it's. The cost of goods has gone up as well. So, but listen, as a consumer, do I want to pay $10 more? No, but if it means that we can, if it's always a loaded thing to say, right? Because does this money go back into paying employees? I don't know. Does it go into a coffer?
The answer may surprise you.
Yeah, right. We'll get to that in a second. But like
once,
but yeah. On the Nintendo Direct, that's happening today as of the time of this recording. We can't make it. I've got personal stuff I need to go to. So if you're listening to this after that comes out, and they announce that this is $60 and this whole conversation is moot, but that even being said, I would not be surprised if we see a $70 first-party Switch game in the near future.
No, not hardly.
Even if it's not this.
This is probably the last and only one, if I had to guess. I mean, who knows? Who the fuck knows when a new Switch is coming out at this point? It could be another decade, for all I know. But I would assume they would not try this with everything they've got left for the Switch at this point. It's Metroid Prime 4, $70. I could see it.
I could see it.
If assuming that game actually exists, which I think is an open question.
They did put up a pre-order page for that game and also pull that one down. So
was it $70?
I don't know if I saw what the price was, but there was definitely a pre-order page up on Amazon for Metroid Prime 4 recently.
Just buy all your Nintendo games on the PC. They'll be $60 there.
Whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
$59.99 forever.
Yeah, I mean, they would have gotten significantly less blowback if they waited for a new Switch to do this, assuming they're doing this, and just said, "Hey, Switch 2 games are $70 now." People would be like, "Yeah, okay, fine,
yeah,
sure."
That's in keeping with the style of the time.
Especially this game looking very much like more Breath of the Wild.
Well,
I can see it rankling some people that it's like, "Hey, this is kind of another one of those on the same platform. What are you doing?"
Brad, if you were going to say have to do a $10 price hike or felt it was necessary to do a $10 price hike on a beloved franchise and game system, you'd probably want to announce some other news that feels like that money's going to support the developers and people you love, right?
That would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Like, that would be ideal.
That'd be ideal.
But come on. Come on.
When would that ever happen?
No, Nintendo's laying off 20% of its staff. Brad, what is this piece of news that has come amidst industry-wide layoffs in the gaming space, tech space? How is Nintendo shaking things up again?
Nintendo is instituting 10% pay raises for its employees, despite lower than expected earnings, just like everybody. Everybody is missing their earnings targets lately, and most of them are laying people off. Check this out. It's important for our long-term growth to secure our workforce.
Nintendo's out of their mind.
Wild.
It'll never work.
I mean, I don't know. To me, this kind of the spirit of Satoru Iwata lives on here. The man who famously took a 50% pay cut some years ago when they missed earnings. I think it was half.
It was a significant one. I know that.
I think he cut his salary in half when the last time he presided over a major shortfall. But yeah, like it's, I guess the idea, I was not aware the Prime Minister of Japan has like been calling on Japanese companies to do this due to inflation. So there is like some pressure there.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually an update to this Kotaku story you linked in here that says, Capcom and Bandai Namco have also done similar increases.
Yes. I just control R the story, and there it is.
Yeah. So literally an update as we're, I think, a couple of minutes ago as we're recording this. So yeah, and I think this Kotaku story in here, at the time that we're reporting on this story, I don't think it's clear if this is across all territories, though this story reports that U.S. employees have said there have been raises in offices outside of Japan.
And Nintendo of America employees have been putting the screws to the company about the fact that they have not gotten pay raises in some time. So I think I'm wondering if maybe some of that is the result of that pressure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the ongoing struggle and question of percentage of contractors and not full-time employees and those things. And I don't mean to sour what is probably a feel-good story about.
No, it is
raises,
a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are other issues, and I think this is great, especially amidst, like we said here, at least stateside, if not internationally, a lot of layoffs happening as earnings are down.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
Can you map my $10 more for Zelda to this 10%? I don't know, but in my mind, it'd make me feel better if I could. I'll work under that illusion if that's the case.
It's just nice to see somebody recognize the economic realities of the people on the ground and not those of stock buybacks.
Yeah, or at least like even recognize institutional knowledge by keeping employees around that know how places run, who know how to make games, in this space, and
Yeah, you want that.
You kind of want some of that. So you're not.
It is wild watching people involved in all these tech layoffs talking about like how just what was it? Somebody from Microsoft who had been there for like 28 years got laid off, who was a co-author of the DOM, which I didn't follow up on. I assume they're talking about the document object model. Is that where that's coming from?
Probably, yes.
Wait,
anybody?
Like when you say the DOM, you mean like the JavaScript, like Internet HTML document object model?
I guess so.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, like, whatever, who knows where they were at in their career or at this point, but it was just like, that was going around of just like they are cutting people that like defined modern technology. Like people are just getting slashed and burned left and right. And just speaking of loss of institutional knowledge and so forth.
Right. Nintendo Direct happening here in a couple of hours, actually. Fewer than at this time, about 2.5 hours. Nintendo. Let's move on to Activision Blizzard. Always in the news, not always great. Alex, you're taking this one.
Yeah.
What is going on with Activision Blizzard this time?
Yet another thing that I just did not even realize was happening with this company, because there have been so many different lawsuits and investigations and other things happening with Activision. But there is a settlement with the SEC to pay $35 million for charges related to complaints of workplace misconduct, and also the fact that they lacked procedures necessary to adequately collect and analyze employee complaints of workplace misconduct. So basically, they are paying a giant fine because the SEC realized they literally had no meaningful systems in place to deal with whistleblowers.
Yeah, I think two things I'll just add. My 2 cents, again, not a lawyer, also not an engineer. Not a doctor. Those are the things.
What are you?
I don't know. That is a great existential.
You're a guy.
That's a great existential question.
Yeah.
35 million, substantial. What do we think for Activision Blizzard?
I mean, again, let's talk about the amount of money that they are in fact going to potentially be paid for that sale.
Yeah. So
now, it's not nothing.
Yeah. I mean, this is criminal. I think the SEC has said they have committed criminal acts. Also, I think allegedly in here, or at least I don't know if it's alleged in a settlement, nobody assumes guilt. Usually that's how that works. I'm, again, no lawyer. That they also did not, I forget their wording, I have to look it up exactly, but basically related to whistleblowers, had them initially sign things that said they could not come out to talk against the company in their departure contract, which the SEC said was illegal. You cannot do that. And that's criminal. So I don't know, 35 million. Did they feel that at all, or is it just like part of doing business? Is it the equivalent of the trucks parking in Manhattan being like, yeah, give me the ticket, I'm still gonna just deliver the food here?
Oh God, man.
The Activision's annual revenue is on the order of about 7 to 8 billion a year.
Right. So, I mean, it's not pocket change, but it's also not a huge hit to them in a meaningful way. I mean, again, this is one of a number of things that they are being investigated for. It is a number of things that are still in the air right now. This is just one of them coming to a settlement. Yeah,
I was going to say, this has no bearing on the California state level stuff that was taking place, right?
I don't think so.
You can tell that Activision doesn't really care about this financial repercussion from this settlement because of their statement in response to this settlement, which starts off with, "We are pleased to have amicably settled or resolved this matter," which means,
this ain't hurting us.
Like, we're good.
This ain't a big deal.
We're good. Moving on. We got this one. They go on to say some more stuff, but yes, Activision Blizzard has a litany of. There's a list of things going on.
Still a fucking mess.
Yeah, still a mess. Stuff is happening over in the UK right now with the Activision Blizzard merger. That is still, acquisition. Activision Blizzard Microsoft acquisition. So we'll see where that stuff all lands too. I don't know, check one off the list. I don't know.
And I still don't know exactly how long that list is. It may be going a while.
At the very least, they had to go in and change some of those things that were either illegal, allegedly illegal, or in conflict with how things should be done.
Let's just be real. Probably illegal. Probably illegal.
Probably illegal. All right, Activision Blizzard. Boy, you're going to be in the news for quite some time.
It will never end.
I didn't even put in the thing here where UK regulators are suggesting that they sell to Microsoft minus Call of Duty.
That was
at the moment.
Also
they're like, hey, what if this acquisition doesn't include Call of Duty? It's like, yeah, I'm sure Microsoft will be just fine with that.
They have said they are just in it for
Candy.
Was it King?
Yeah, we just want King.
Yeah.
No one believes that.
I mean, listen, I believe that they would.
I'm not saying they don't want King. I'm saying no one is saying that is the only thing they want.
Okay, let's pivot to something that maybe is also questionable whether people want. That's maybe too mean. Is that too mean?
No, it's not.
I don't know if it's too mean.
My own personal feelings, not remotely mean.
Do people want Gears 6?
I'm sure somebody would be interested in it.
I feel like it's maybe just been long enough that could be a thing people want en masse.
I don't hate Gears, but I certainly don't have any particular passion for it.
People really liked Gears 5.
Yeah, like 5 at least had some new ideas. I wish they had gone further with it. Like when they were all like, it's open and you can kind of explore and do stuff all over. Like, I don't know. They didn't go all the way with that concept like I thought they might, but I mainly brought this up because in the wake of that Microsoft Developer Direct, we kind of were speculating about like, what are some of their other studios up to that were not here? Such as the Coalition, which I'm trying to think, like, of major studios they've got that don't have announced projects. It's the Coalition, it's Double Fine.
Oh, they have so many studios.
I feel like almost all of their big name internal studios like have something on the books publicly announced.
Gosh.
They have so many irons in the fire.
They have too many studios. I have to look up. I don't remember them all.
Anyway, the Coalition is one of the few that I think are like sort of floating at the moment as far as not having something on the schedule officially confirmed. And we were talking about that. And Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb has said that it is in fact Gears 6 that they are making. I mean, the studio was founded to make Gears games, basically. So that's not super surprising. He says they have canceled 2 other non-Gears projects in order to get here, though.
Oh,
which
is
a little bit
also
started to say disappointing. I don't know if that's excessive considering we don't know what those projects were. He says they canceled a smaller project as well as another project, is quote unquote is what he says, which I assume implies it was a bigger game.
Well, so here's what it is that, yes, you're right. We don't know how good those games were. It could have been just, standard cancellation of projects. It's just that we've been hearing about a lot of stuff getting canceled recently, and also the idea of them maybe getting to make something that was not Gears of War, I think was perhaps more appealing to someone like myself.
Yeah, I personally do not feel the need to play yet another Gears game.
I didn't feel much need after 2, honestly.
I like 3.
I thought 3 was quite good, but also 3 felt like it wrapped things. 3 things, 3 games, 3 movies, usually a pretty good place to stop, it seems. But anyway, so yeah, that if Jeff Grubb is on the money here, that seems to be what they probably are working on.
He also goes on, this story quotes him as saying that they were touched by those recent layoffs as well in Coalition. So, we'll see what happens with Gears. I mean, Microsoft's going to have announcements. They will show off something. I don't know if this will get announced this year, but
yeah, I could see that.
Did he source where this stuff came from?
No.
Okay.
Sources,
Oh, sources.
I think is just generally the understanding. He may have. I didn't watch the full clip.
I didn't either.
I'm just reading this summary on Video Games Chronicle, but I could see that maybe being announced at the E3 or fake E3 or whatever they end up doing.
Yeah.
they've got plenty of stuff they need to show that has been floating around for way too long.
Right.
Like Perfect Dark and Everwild and Fable. But you kind of want to show up to the summer thing with something new as well.
Hmm.
And this would probably be a no-brainer for that if it exists.
What's the story with the new Hellblade game? Does that have a date?
I don't think that has a date yet.
I don't think they've put a date on that yet.
Because that's probably floating around out there too.
They've shown clips of that, like that. That's definitely happening. I don't think it's got a date yet.
Interesting.
Of course, stuff like Redfall and Minecraft Legends, those are both like 3 months away or less, just got dates a couple weeks ago.
I was looking at their list of studios they own. Undead Labs, they've announced, right?
Yes, State of Decay 3.
Okay. Rare is just folded into, are they folded into just ongoing other projects at this point?
No, they're doing Everwild as their new game.
Oh, God, Everwild, I forgot. Okay. Turn 10, Playground Games?
They're doing Fable.
Oh, gosh, okay.
Right? Or hang on, do I always get this wrong?
I don't know.
They do Forza Horizon is their main thing. But
yes.
But didn't they, hang on, let me just
Also,
think.
I think someone just left Playground that was like one of the main people there.
Yes, they are working on Fable as well.
So that's Playground is working on Fable?
Yes.
Obsidian, we know they have all their iron
They've got
in the fire.
They've got Avowed, and do they have anything else announced right now? Is that the last
More
thing?
Grounded updates.
They put out Grounded and Pentiment. I think Avowed might be the last thing on their known list at the moment.
In Exile?
Gosh.
They did buy that, didn't they?
I completely forgot that they were there.
Everyone
what are they up
did.
to? Like they were doing they've been doing like Wasteland games quite a bit for a while.
Okay.
And that new Torment game, but apparently those are quite good. Like people.
Oh, I'm not dissing In Exile. It's just that I feel like they are always the completely forgotten aspect of that buying spree they went on.
The Initiative?
The Initiative is Perfect Dark.
Okay.
/ Crystal Dynamics.
What's Compulsion Games?
They did We Happy Few and Contrasts.
That's right.
I don't know if they have a new game announced at the moment.
And then finally,
maybe?
we did Coalition, Double Fine, and then World's Edge, which I don't know who World's Edge is.
Oh gosh, was that a studio that got renamed from something else?
No, that is not familiar to me at all.
World's Edge?
Age of Empires.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Okay, that was an internal studio created to.
Oh, wow.
To kind of shepherd Age of Empires, right?
They've got a ton of stuff. That's not even counting all the Bethesda stuff like Arcane, Machine Games, id, and all that. Tango. I mean, they have a lot of studios.
If you want to count, Bethesda Studios, then nobody knows exactly what id is doing right now. I don't think Tango has anything announced either, since Hi-Fi Rush just came out.
Alpha Dog, Roadhouse. I don't know what these are.
I know what Roadhouse is. I didn't know that was a video game.
Roadhouse Studios, Alpha Dog Games. These are all under Bethesda. Anyway, Microsoft will probably have stuff to show in the summer or whenever they do their next bit of business.
Yeah.
That possibly will be a Gears game, maybe. Who knows?
Who can say?
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they'll go further with some new ideas this time.
Yeah. Online multiplayer extraction game you got to extract from underground.
Right. But there's like a horde of enemies coming at you at all times.
A horde of enemies.
What do you think? What do you think if I've been kicking this idea around?
I got to give it up for Gears. That horde mode.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun at the time. That felt different at the time. So
horde mode was mode defining, I would say.
Mode defining. All right, Brad, let's take it into this last news story we have pinned here about Ken Levine's new game.
Take-Two put a rough release time frame on Judas, the Ghost Story Games Ken Levine game, by March 2025. I think it's the first time I've seen 2025 referenced in relation to a release date.
Yeah, I think at this point, nebulous 2024 was the furthest out we had seen so far.
Wolverine get 2025, or that's just not going to date?
I don't think that got any kind of...
Something else was bizarre, but we've also traversed some time since the last E3, so it could have been 2024 stuff that seemed further away at the time. 2025. Why dated at that point?
Part of it is just, it's already been over a decade since BioShock Infinite. Very, very long time for him to put something else out. So it was kind of funny from that standpoint, but...
This is very much in context of them just trying to say, like, hey, we're lining up our financials. Here's when we expect this thing to come out. This was
kind of earning results, investor relations type stuff, defining this. Of course, it could get delayed, but anyway.
There's a part in this Video Games Chronicle story that I had to read a couple of times that says Judas is one of 87 games Take-Two is planning to release during this window. But then it said 40 are mobile games.
So there you go.
Listen, 40 games
it's not nothing.
In 2025. Well, sorry. Between this period in 2025 is still quite a bit. Now and the end of 2025 that's 40 games is still a hell of a lot of PC and console games. So good luck.
Yeah. I am really curious about Judas, like not from the boy it looks like BioShock standpoint, but from the like his whole concept of narrative Legos that he's talked about a bunch. Like,
does he actually make good on that? Like
if they really create a game that with that much of a branching story, that could be interesting. I don't know if you saw, they also said in the course of this earnings call that Midnight Suns underperformed expectations.
It's a bummer.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I wonder what expectations were for that thing.
It's a big Marvel property, but I'm sure.
Avengers bombed, remember? Like, the Avengers game did not do that well, and obviously Spider-Man did extremely well, but I think the sell for that game was a lot harder than big open world action game.
I wonder if an XCOM would have done better, or if you just spent more on Marvel and that's what the expectation was, I wonder if this sold well, just not up to expectation, considering the licensing and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Strauss Zelnick told Jason Schreier, quote, "It's possible the release window wasn't perfect."
You don't say.
But he thinks it could have a long tail like other Firaxis games.
Could be. I still want to go back and do some more in there. I got kind of bored a little bit of the combat, but I'll go back. Let me ask you guys this. Do you get Judas or the next BioShock game first? Or do they somehow hit within the same 3 months?
Do we get a Callisto Protocol Dead Space remake situation?
Yes.
Of one is racing to be out before the other. I don't know if that's what happened, but it sure did seem conspicuously timed.
Yes, because there is going to be another BioShock game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, Judas sounds more interesting conceptually in terms of the storytelling stuff they've laid out, but also like how the hell you make a new BioShock game in this day and age is also like kind of a fascinating exercise to me. So it's hard to say.
Hard to say. Yeah. It'll be interesting if they both come out around the same time. Though I'll posit, and it's not quite there, but Arcane feels like modern kind of BioShock-ish stuff. Like Arcane's doing a lot of stuff in that space.
Yeah, they've always had shared kind of immersive sim roots.
Yeah.
Everything just descends from System Shock in one way or another.
That's right.
But yes, yeah, absolutely. Like it's almost hard to remember that BioShock absolutely was presented as that type of game back when it came out. Whether it lived up to that or not, who can say?
I bet there'll be a BioShock bundle at some point, next gen bundle with those old games.
Well, they put them out on last gen, so you can buy
port
PS4.
Over. Okay.
Yeah, you can buy PS4 or Xbox One versions of those now.
Interesting. All right, that beeth the news. Again, Nintendo Direct happening just mere moments away.
That's right. Just stay tuned to see how amazingly accurate we were about everything.
I'm pretty excited for that Zelda. I feel like I want to get my hands on it. I want to get.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I hope it runs well. I hope it runs well.
I'm ready for it not to.
Yeah, I don't know. Having played most of that first one on the Wii U, I don't know where it did not run well.
That would be the biggest bummer.
First one was decent on the Switch, but we will see.
That's going to wrap up the news. We've got our emails here. The email address is podcast@nextlander.com, podcast@nextlander.com. But we are going to skip the emails for this week. I've got to go attend a funeral, so I am going to go head out. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank everybody for coming out here and supporting us week after week. Day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute,
but not second after second. That's too much.
No, that's just too much. You gotta take some downtime. I want to let people know that we have a great, dare I say, fantastic, never been a better podcast going up this Friday with Dan Reichert and Abby Russell. Maybe some of my funniest bits I thought were funny. I'm saying not my funniest bits, the funniest bits we've had in that show. Concerning Dan's Thoreau and his going out into the woods. Some good times are had on Never Been a Better Podcast going up this Friday. You can look for that. Over on the Watchcast side, we've got some fantastic action movies, 90s sci-fi action.
Goofy 90s action sci-fi is what I'm calling these.
We've got Virtuosity currently up there on the Patreon side. That'll be going on the free feed soon. And then, Alex, do we want to say what we've got going on in terms of our guest? Did we announce our guest?
Yeah, we did. Timur of Giant Bomb and GameSpot fame, Timur Hussein, is joining us to talk about Demolition Man.
I don't know what is more shocking, that Brad, you had not seen Demolition Man in all this time, or Timur's fascination and love for that movie.
He says it's his favorite movie, and I'm not. Who am I to challenge him on that?
Got a shrine to Demolition Man. He's made find out about Timur's own cut of Demolition Man.
Yes,
I won't say what he pulled off a shelf in the middle of that conversation, but it was surprising.
It's fantastic. This is all good stuff. You guys are doing that grab bag on Thursday. We're going to come back and check out Breakout 13 Part 2. Part 2, the finale? Part 2, at least, of Breakout 13, that FMV game on Friday. And on Monday, you can catch Brad doing the run of his life in the freelancer mode, which we're going to continue at some point. So that run is still happening. Still happening. Of course, you got the Ramble Cast, and you are listening to the Nextlander podcast. All of these things are made possible by support like you, by going over to places like Nextlander.com or Patreon.com/Nextlander. Both of those places will get you to a list of tiers where you can find a tier that is right for you. A whole bunch of stuff there. That's where you're going to find things like the Ramble Cast. That's where you're going to find things like the Watchcast. Never Been a Better Podcast are all over there, and that's where you can support us. One tier there, though, gets their names read on this here show. And Alex Navarro, would you do the honors of reading our mysterious benefactors for this week?
Vinny, it would be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Our mysterious benefactors for this week are RRE, John Richardson, Vornak, Kelly F., James Smith, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Brad's Classic Mid-Size Hoodoo Voodoo, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, JM, Jerry Lee, Gary Pejsky, Robert Fisher, John McGinnis, #Bunny Crimes, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Razgriz3, Daughter of Raz Rises, congrats, Brian Murphy, Trevor and Adrian R., Randy Duax, Andrew Tiepkin, It's a Me, Dario, Alex Wu, It Me, JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. And of course, big thank you to everyone there. Thanks for sticking by us. A lot of you are longtime supporters, and we do appreciate it. Of course, thank you to everyone who has supported us over on the Patreon, over on Twitch, watched our stuff on YouTube, listened to the podcast, told your friends. Say it once, say it every time. Cannot do it without you. Wouldn't even dare to. Wouldn't even try it. Just won't do it. Thank you very much, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brad Shoemaker.
Thank you.
See, if I don't stretch this part out, though, the end music collides with the mysterious Benefactor music, so I do have to just kind of pad here
Need a little
bit.
spacing.
I have to fill time just a little bit.
Still got this Chippendales tab open if you want.
Just run down.
How hunky are the guys on the page?
Just going on there.
White?
Okay.
They're still wearing Santa hats though. I don't know.
Oh, sometimes
Maybe a little late.
never goes out of style. Really never goes.
You're saying they got to take that Christmas log down?
And that's going to do it for the show. I believe that's enough time. Go check out all that stuff. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back next week.